And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Lanny Ford Rembert along with you here this morning. And if you're not sure what we're going to discuss today, we had a suggestion from a listener yesterday that said, got a good topic for you. I think it's a good topic. I think we need to spend some time on it. And just to get you where we're at, get on the screen first, I guess. But so that you'll know where we're at, I'm going to play a little snippet for you. And in this snippet, let me go ahead and put a disclaimer out there. I do not own the rights to this. This is being used, all courtesy goes to the movie Field of Dreams, and it's being used from YouTube. So with that being said, let me go no further and give you a little snippet of today's discussion.
People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
Walk out to the bleachers. Sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines, where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game. It'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray.
Now, the question is, does it still exist today? Does it have that same meaning? Does it pull on you like that? Richie, Milton, Brian, good morning. Is baseball still the same thing? And I play that, which I do not own the rights to, just so Facebook doesn't knock me off. I play that because the question that came from Stephen was, like to hear you discuss the possibility of Shohei Ohtani getting a $600 million contract deal.
Yep.
Okay? So my question is, does it have the same meaning, or can people connect to any professional sports, but especially baseball? Because I love baseball, because the only constant in this world is baseball. Because baseball is the highest paid sport out there, other than maybe soccer, but I don't count it because we go global when we start talking about soccer and what they're paying. But baseball, he's probably looking at a $600 million contract. So my question is, you heard what Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, said. My question is that the case? Do we still feel it like we used to? Does it still have the same pull on you like it used to? Or has baseball and professional sports separated itself so much because of the money? That's my question.
No, because the one constant, like you said, is baseball. And baseball is a pure, even though they tried to inject style into it, is a pure substance sport because of the skill level involved to compete in it.
I understand that. I understand at its basic form.
Yes, it is.
But there's a lot of that purity been skewed out with steroids, hormones, the changing of the game to where the strikeout doesn't matter like it used to. Milton says not anymore. The players don't respect the tradition. I don't think that's 100% accurate comment. I think there are some, just like in any professional sport, that are out there for the money. But I think there are still some that it really tugs at the heartstrings of being able to participate and play like a kid when you were a kid, when you were growing up.
Let me tell you what I've never heard someone that has a chance to be a Major League Baseball player say, I just want to play for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Baseball is a sport that if you play it, you want to play it your entire life. One day we're all told, and basically this is a quote from Moneyball, but it's wording, okay, that is true. We're all told at some point that we can no longer play the kids' game, right? And that moment hits us very quickly.
And it does in any sport. When you find out, I can remember when it happened to me.
Yeah, well, and baseball is one where, a lot of times the things that happen to you are not directly a cause of what you have done or not done. It's based on other factors. And, it's just really, this is a really different sport. The hype of baseball is pitching the no-hitter, throwing the perfect game, winning the World Series, hitting the home run, hitting the grand slam, hitting 2 home runs in a game, laying a bunt down that advances a runner, which we hardly ever see anymore. It still does happen. They just don't highlight it because it's not exciting to what the –
and that's where I was going.
It's not exciting to the people that are in charge, okay, and the narrative they're trying to portray, right? If you go to Atlanta, all right, and somebody from the Braves bunts and they advance a runner, okay, the fans are going to cheer, all right, especially the purists, and there are a ton of them that attend Major League games. The engagement, if they took away the shift rule and made hitters, all right, go back to being hitters, offensive, production-type players with all phases of the game instead of specialists, it would dynamically change the interest of the game.
And that's a big basis for my question, and I guess my objection is the players are being directed on how to play the game, and it's taking some of the traditional elements of the game out of it that's not in their control.
But think about football. Football's the same way.
Yes.
They're trying to run zone reads and, RPOs and things like that, and they're trying to – because that's exciting because it's real fast and moves all, here, over there, all this. But, we don't see these quarterbacks on the field a lot, and the ones that get the opportunity normally get hurt or just can't live up to it, and not through any fault of their own. They're very good at what they do.
Just not built to it.
The league is not – you just can't do those things with the speed of the defensive players, right? And we've talked about that before. Same thing in baseball. Baseball went a step further and said, oh, we're going to do this. No, this many people can't be on this side of the back. You can only have this many. That is ridiculous. You should be able to set your defense any way you want to based on the offensive spray charts. When you keep hitting charts. Not only do you keep your pitching charts and how they do and what they swing at, first pitch swinger, if they swing at breaking balls, all these things. And it goes back to Ohtani. He has changed the dynamics of the game because he has shown that if there's a true investment in a two-way player, it can work. The issue is most people fear injury over the potential success, all right? And that's what this guy has done. Now, there's not many Ohtanis in the world. We know that. But Madison Bumgarner was one of them.
Yes.
Okay, and that's I would say that maybe that's debatable, but not really. He was a guy that could hit. And I don't know if this guy hit home runs. It wasn't anything for him not to hit a home run. And he didn't work on it.
Talking about home run, let me ask you this, because Milton makes a comment here. And Richie, thank you for your comment too. Said there are players that will still play for a Coke and a hot dog. Milton said, that's right. The long ball has ruined the strategy of the game. Oh. And my point to that is the long ball doesn't have, to me, it doesn't have the effect on the fan that it used to because it's becoming a little more too.
Is that what you mean? They're numb to it?
It's coming a little more too commonplace.
Yeah.
I mean, you get excited when you watch more strategy, more what's called small ball in the game, and so I think it's hurt some. But then let's go to Ohtani. He's looking at a contract coming up. Stephen, we're talking about your topic, bud. So when you talk about Shohei Ohtani and you talk about him being a two-way player, I think, now this is just my feeling, can he do it? Absolutely. He's done proven it time after time.
Sure.
Will they allow him to do it? I don't think they will when they sink that kind of money into it. Now, the other side of it is, should he be released? He plays for the Angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should he be released if the Angels don't have a way to get to the World Series? They can't build enough around him.
I don't know if they should trade him or just I don't know.
Well, they got to trade him because they want to get something out of it.
Well, it's true, but the other thing too is he would not be making $600 million if he didn't do both. Right? He's not good enough to make that money for one or other.
Right.
Okay, he's great. But his numbers are a little different on the mound this year than they were last year. Now, he's still extremely effective, but the numbers are a little different. So I think that, in order for him to earn that kind of money, which he's earned it and he deserves it if that's what the market pays. We often hear, well, that's too much money. Nobody should make that kind of money. Let me tell you something. You earn what your value bring in the market in which you participate. And that's a hard reality for me as a former teacher to understand, right? And the ability to replace me, right, for what I do, what you do, right? And when I say, I'm talking third person when I say this. So that's how it will help people understand why he is getting that money. For the marketplace, he deserves and has earned every opportunity to have that money, right? Now, when you say that much money, obviously, it's pretty much cut into half immediately, right? Because somebody's got their hand out.
Somebody always wants it.
And then other things. But, he's got the potential to set contracts up, kind of like Bobby Bonilla did, right? He gets $1 million a year, until like 2030 or 2032, something like that. And then another, I can't remember what it was, was it 200,000 or 60,000 or whatever it was, until 2028, by another organization. So it all depends on how they structure this contract. Laney, I believe, when I sit down and I really think about this and think about where things are in today's world, and baseball is going to go global. There's nothing to stop it. The toothpaste is out. It's out. And the reason I say that is that soccer and golf have shown that. It's going global. And so it'll be interesting over the next 10 to 12, 15 years, how this seems to, work itself out. And the one player in all of this that we never talk about on the stage, and when I say we, I'm talking third person, any of us, is India. You say, well, they don't have sports over there. They have, such a large population and are going to be the largest population in the world, may already have surpassed China. There's going to be a lot of opportunity in that country because there's such a great divide between people that have and people that have not. The divide is created. Therefore, when it's created, the wealth is invested globally. There could be tremendous opportunity coming through that area as well. I think Saudi Arabia's through oil and, that part of the world, right? That's kind of starting to work itself out a little bit. They're going to have to invest money in other places because the oil part, there's oil all over the world. And regardless of what we hear and things that are this, that, and the other, that's not going to stop because it takes one barrel of oil to make a electric car run with all the parts and, making things work, okay? So with Ohtani, don't be surprised if you see foreign investment come in at some point, not necessarily to him, but to Major League Baseball as well.
Well, I don't think it's just Major League Baseball. I think you're going to see it in other sports as well. Now,
football.
If I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to, maybe somebody can help me with this, I believe it is the NBA will not allow an individual to own a majority in a franchise or something. I heard a story.
You mean be like a complete owner?
They have to have minority when they were talking about when all this hit, that all this money, when does the Live Tour, when does the Saudi money start invading other professional sports as far as owning franchises? And I want to say it was the NBA is the only one that's got some stuff in there to where it's not controlled by an individual or no, I know what it is. It can't be controlled by a corporation. It has to be controlled by an individual.
It can't be controlled by an entity. Is what okay. Yeah. So think of it like this. When you're dealing with, wealth and extreme wealth, people that are in charge of that own it or, have some say in it, they're not necessarily worried about the product. You know, that's where wealth goes to die when I'm believing this is the only thing I'm doing. This has made me money for a long time, and I'm going to stick with it. Things constantly change. So the money, the currency side of things navigates with the, product, for lack of a better term, that is being marketed. Well, right now you're seeing some investment, around the world, right, coming out of, with the Live Tour, okay, and then even in soccer. So you're starting to see that business-minded part of it, take over. You ride it till you see, I got to, diversify in this area, right? And, because it's all about, the money, when you're making it, right? And, the currency, how am I continuing to grow that? Am I growing it, through markets, through hard assets, through, things that are, other growth potential, such as organizations and teams around the world that are global? That's how you stay ahead of inflation.
Let me give this on the NBA. I just looked it up. 2019, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver sent a memo to league owners proposing a new investment vehicle that would allow private equity investors to purchase minority ownership stakes. So as of January 21, a structure had been put in place to increase the number of eligible franchise buyers. Here's what it is. Equity owners may own up to but not exceed 20% of a single NBA franchise. No team can collectively have greater than 30% of its total ownership coming from institutional investors, which means can't get a majority.
Right.
You've got to have individual. So. And I don't know. Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know that any of the others are like that.
So why do you think? All right, and I'm going to answer it, but why do you think that is the reason that they want things like that?
I don't know. I'm hoping you'll answer that.
No. I'm just saying it causes us for a minute to pause and think about, why 20, 25, or 30%? You and I have talked about this on the show before. Anytime a committee is making a decision, there's no point person to go to. It's the committee.
Green Bay Packer ownership.
Okay. Church committees, right? High School Athletic Association, right? Anytime they make a decision, the board or the committee felt like that we got to have one person to go to that's the decision maker. That way there's accountability. When you have a committee that makes decisions, all right, and it's not transparent on why, then things crumble. They'll crumble quickly. Maybe not all at once, but when it starts falling, it'll fall quickly. And the validity and the integrity of it goes with it. There has to be a person making a decision. That's why you have a head coach. That's why you have an athletic director, right? That's why you have this, that, or the other. You have the person you can go to and say, I agree or disagree, but this is where it came from, and we've had a decision. Let's move on.
Let me give you NFL rules. No ownership group can exceed 25 people, including the lead investor. Yep. The group cannot borrow more than $1.1 billion to buy a team, and no private equity firms, public corporations, or sovereign wealth funds can own any share.
Right.
So they want it to be individualized.
Yeah. So and probably the reason for that is they're already there, as far as the amount of money that the teams are worth, and they don't need that private equity investment coming in like the NBA did or does. Okay? The NBA, you know, how many people sit around actually watching an NBA basketball game? But the commercials are so exciting, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not criticizing people watching NBA basketball. You know, I was watching a thing on Larry Bird last night, and, you know, NBA basketball to me, you know, when he played, Jordan was coming along, those times are very exciting, right? There wasn't all this other stuff. We got to watch basketball. You know, it was exciting. Kareem, you know, Magic, you know, Dr. J, these kind of things, right? No problem. But what were they missing? What did the NFL have that the NBA was missing? Growth in individual ownership, growth in individual teams, right, as far as their valuations and what they're worth. So they had to get private equity in, I would think, to, help with that, doing the promotions, getting contracts signed. The private equity groups no business. In this same time frame, okay, baseball tweaked its rules so it could sizably increase in the pool of prospective bidders for the 30 teams. Private equity firms are already interested in a bid to gain access to new sources of equity investment. Yep. Major League Baseball changed its bylaws to allow investment funds to acquire minority stakes in multiple teams. Multiple private equity firms are looking to take advantage of the pathway to ownership, according to Fox Business. The entry of private equity would mark a noticeable shift in Major League Baseball ownership structure, traditionally dominated by wealthy individuals or well-known public companies. Major League Baseball is one of those that has always allowed. Go back to the Braves when Turner Broadcasting, Ted Turner owned it. The rule change would also provide a way for current owners, especially those looking to cash out their minority stakes, to capitalize on soaring MLB team valuations, many of which currently exceed $2 billion. So, scroll back down. Yes, sir. Right there. What does it say? Here. What does that headline say? Oh, Bernie Sanders rips Major League Baseball over plan to cut minor league teams. Okay, what Bernie needs to focus on, like the rest of them, okay, is the growing. God, don't even get me started. There are greater issues, okay, than oh my God. Yeah, dude, there's so many people that are affected by so many things that have happened, the last 2, 5, 10 years. This is why is that? Why are you really investing your time into worrying about that? Him or anybody else? What in the? Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Move on. Thank you. Sorry, I apologize. This was back in '99, I think. The Braves posted an adjusted operating income of $94 million in fiscal year 18. I'm sorry, with record revenue of $442. Is perhaps the best well-known instance of corporate ownership of a pro sports franchise. The Walt Disney Company owned the Los Angeles Angels franchise from 99 to 03, and the late George Steinbrenner's name is synonymous with the Yankees. He purchased the team from television and media company CBS, which owned the team for 9 years. So, there you go. Every professional sports team is different, but I'll get away from that. Got a couple other topics we'll talk about, and we're still coming back on Ohtani. We differ a little bit on whether he will make it or not make it as a two-way player. Back more.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. Welcome back. Now let's go back to our original question that was posed by Stephen. I'll give you a couple of comments before we go there. Stephen said, I believe Ken Griffey Jr. is the second or third highest player the Reds are paying this year. He set his contract up like Bobby Bonilla. Richie said, I think the draw of baseball for me is the effort and work that you have to put in to make it to the show. Yeah. It feels different than someone making the Panthers as it does when they make it to the Braves. Just using those two as examples. Richie said, I meant to pass on Bobby Bonilla Day back on July 1st. He also said it wasn't as big and long as Bonilla. Griffey Jr. had a $112.5 million deal and gets deferred payments from 09 to 24. Bobby's going to get at least $1 million a year till 2035. Milton said, I can't understand how baseball can afford all those expensive contracts. Some games at the bottom feeders stadiums don't have 1,500 people.
It's not about that.
Well, and it's not, and those clubs are never going to be able to pay what they're paid.
They do off of, but when they do, if they do, it's off of the contracts, the TV contracts, the revenue share of that. Okay, so that's where that money comes from. And don't forget, these people that own these teams have a tremendous amount of money. All right, so there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of income producing things that are out there that allow them to pay these people, set up contracts, structure things. A lot of times the contracts are never paid in full because people are traded out or someone else assumes the contract. So it's, hence the word trade. You just trade them to another team, but also the contract that goes with us, right? Alex Rodriguez was a great example.
Now, baseball contracts go with you, just like the others.
Yeah, they can, or they can be restructured through the deal in your favor, but it won't be less. In like 90-some% of the cases, right? So
let me ask you a question in talking about this, and Stephen, I promise we'll get to the Ohtani thing. The NBA is different. It's the only league that I'm aware of that when you make a trade, you can only trade like contracts. Or what I mean by that is the total value of what's being traded has to be traded back.
Well, that's because you have less of a pool to trade. They have 5 people that play both offense and defense, right? In the NFL, you got 11,
right?
Really 100, 60, whatever it is, 50, whatever. And then, Major League Baseball, you have skill specific, right? So not really apples and oranges there that allow them to keep contract structure and similarity in place. Okay, so that has a lot to do with with the way the NBA does things.
I just thought that was different. So back to the question:
absolutely.
Do you think Ohtani will get the big payday?
Yes.
Do you think Ohtani will be will be allowed to be a two-way player?
Yes, I think that's why he gets the contract. If he was a one-way player, then he doesn't. He gets maybe a third or half of that money, because that's the value that they're bringing, the $600 million. That's why they're saying, will he get $600? If he does both and continues to produce, the answer is yes. It's just interesting to me, like baseball is such a value sport on you get paid on what your abilities are, where in the NFL, when you get drafted in the NFL, all right, they only draft you on how fast you run, what you score on this test, all this. In baseball, I can stand up there, you can stand up all day long and hit balls over the fence in batting practice, which is the same thing as lining up and running a 40-yard dash.
In shorts.
Okay? But when it comes to somebody out there pitching the ball, we still got to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in NFL, they pay off of athleticism and the wow factor. That's why baseball is a substance sport, because you can't get away from it. You can't hide. If you can't hit, you can't hit. Mm-hmm. And again, Lanny, with Ohtani is a great example. A great topic by Steven is a great example. When they have the All-Star break and the All-Star game, they don't have the strikeout derby. They have the home run derby.
Right.
Okay? So – again, this is kind of the wow factor of, and it is hard to hit a ball, and it's hard to hit it a long way. But when you're as proficient and as efficient as those guys are, the way they can hit, it's exciting for the fans, but it's pretty much common everyday stuff for them in the way they can hit, because they've obtained that skill set.
Can it be put in his contract that he remain a two-way player as long as he wants to?
He can have any. Yeah, the answer to that is he can have anything placed in his contract. And again, the Captain Obvious moment here, if the ownership, agrees to abide by that. The issue is when you start giving players too much leverage, then the rest of the pieces around start crumbling. Mm-hmm. You gotta sit there and say, hey, look, each year you've got to go out and earn this. Not you're getting this based on what you've already done. There's got to be ways to set things up that say that. Now, do we see that a lot? No, but that's why these teams crumble, and the pieces around the great players fall so quickly.
And I'm assuming that Major League Baseball, like the NBA, are guaranteed contracts, unlike the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So you get that money. And
if you got a 5-year contract, doesn't matter what happens, you get that 5-year contract.
Well, that's kind of like our guy Freddie, wanting to stay in Atlanta. They were just ready to move on. It was, people still, everybody, come on. The boy that took his place has done a great job and is a great player, and people are happy with him. But Freddie was kind of like Chipper, right? Mm-hmm. Golly, did you see Chipper's post on Facebook? Mm-hmm. Oh, God. That's the topic for another day.
When Freddie was traded?
No, about something else.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I think he's going to get it, Lanning. I think he's at least close to. Is he? He's like 28, 29.
He's 29. 6'4", 209. Yeah. His current salary is $5.5 million.
Yeah, he's going to get 600. It'll probably be like 598 or something like that. But he's going to get to 600.
My next question is: we talked about Griffey and we talked about Bonilla and how they spread that money out. Can't do that with everybody because then you don't have anything left. You're paying out all your money over so many years.
Deferral actually works in the favor of the ownership.
Does it? Okay.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. Because each year the dollar is, it takes more dollars to buy the same thing each year, right? So they actually, it's considered a debt because they got to pay it out, but it's a declining debt in valuation terms, even though the number may be the same.
Yeah, because
inflation.
And the relativity.
And so they really went out big the last 2.5 years on these contracts that are paid out long term because inflation's eating a lot of that up.
Yeah.
You still got to pay it, but it's not worth as much. So anytime you do a long term deal, got to make sure there's inflationary clauses built in.
Yeah. Lindsay and them were planning a trip to go see Atlanta. Sure got our tickets and stuff, and they must be playing the Angels on July 31st.
That'd be fantastic.
Rich is going to find that post, and then he also said the current two best teams in baseball start their series tonight ahead of the All-Star break. Braves at the Rays. The Braves, going back to the Freddie Freeman thing, I know that Freddie was important as far as a member of the Braves, but you look at it as a whole, as you said, it has not hurt the Braves in what they're accomplishing on the field.
I just hurt a lot of feelings. Yeah, and eventually it's like anything else. You
That's the most
respect
important
Freddie.
thing to me. It's my feelings.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I mean, you take
Don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, a lot of times we talk about that, but the social and emotional health, especially of young people, is extremely important. But you also have to help them box that in and understand that they're not the most important thing in the world. And when they're told no in the real world, they don't need to lose their minds, or if something doesn't go their way. Like somebody that they want to do this or do that, or the way things are voted on. You have to be able to, understand that it's just not about you.
Did you see?
It's unfortunate, but
did you see the story last night with? Oh gosh, the bat. He had a something on the butt of the bat right there. Can you see that?
I haven't seen
that. Ellie De La Cruz had his bat checked.
Plays for the Reds, I believe.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
And there was no rule against it. They just couldn't figure out what to do about it because it looked different. Are you allowed to modify a bat?
I didn't think so. Did he have what's called a sting stopper on the end of it?
I guess.
Was it something on the end? Can you go back?
It's like a rubber thing. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, I couldn't. Come on. Get back to baseball because the only constant is baseball. Why people don't believe that? De La Cruz, and he homered after the Nationals asked to check his bat. They couldn't. Looking for the picture here. He said it's something we use in spring training. It's just a sensor that we use, but it's just the plastic that covers the bat. There's nothing else besides that. I started using it back in 2021. It just felt more comfortable than that.
They've got the sense. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
And from there on, I asked of more of these plastic shells.
So what it does is it gives instant feedback on bat speed, arc of the bat, relative to where the pitch is thrown. It helps you become more of an analytic as far as hitting goes. Yeah. Okay? Now, that could be to the detriment of some, right? But for this guy, this player, it works.
But if it doesn't give you an advantage at bat, it shouldn't matter.
It gives him feedback once he gets in the dugout.
But it doesn't hit the ball further or more constant or anything else, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
No,
yeah.
Right.
I thought that was – I saw that last night when I was watching.
Do contacts make you hit a ball further if you wear contacts?
No. I wouldn't say I couldn't hit a ball if I had to.
Right, but what if you don't see the ball really well and then you put them in?
Yeah. So you're saying contacts shouldn't be allowed?
I'm saying that. I'm saying it's just really interesting how things are picked and chosen as what enhancement means. It's kind of like a lot of I saw on the show. A lot of people were really against the killing of animals to provide food. And the guy explained, well, every time you plow the ground up, you kill every mole, snake, worm, all this to grow vegetables. He said, how cute does an animal have to be before you care about whether it's dead or not? Now, again, I'm watching it from the show. I'm not getting into, I can, but I'm not going to. But, my thing is in baseball, there's a lot of pick and choose on what people feel is appropriate and inappropriate as far as being able to enhance performance. There's a lot of things that are dismissed that maybe maybe should be looked at. You either go all natural or you don't, right? I don't know. I'm just bringing a topic up for a later day.
I'm just. I will say this. I'll say this when it comes to that: rules, door locks, all of the above. They are there only to keep the honest. Because if you want to break a rule, if you want to stretch a rule, I'll say not break it, but stretch a rule as far as you can, then it's going to happen.
A rule is only as strong as the exceptions that are brought to light on behalf of a reason it shouldn't be there. You know, things are either, and the problem is when you have rules, you can always find a reason. Well, it shouldn't be that way, or it had no effect on this, so I shouldn't do that. It's like a lot of people say basketball. You know, the officials will swallow the whistle in the last 10 seconds of the play. I don't know if that's appropriate. Let the kids play it out. So that means you just go up and whack somebody in the head and then let it go. I don't know. I think it takes away from accountability. I think it opens up a whole new, doorway of, endless chaos, because the expectation's been set for every bit of the game except the last 10 seconds. There's a lot of things that traditionalists, including myself with certain sports, will say, well, we just need to let it be and let it play itself out, like two people fighting for the ball in football. At what point is there a double foul call? Both of them are pushing off when that ball's high in the air on the Hail Mary. When you call a double foul, repeat the play. Don't do that. They don't do anything. Let them decide. I don't even know what that means. That, to me, that's an excuse to let inappropriate or deviant behavior step in and make an outcome as a result of lack of accountability by the people who are supposed to be calling the game.
Well,
that's what I believe.
As an official, you are charged with maintaining control and officiating it based on the rule set that you've been given.
Yeah.
And that rule set doesn't change by time of day or part of where you're at in the game, or what the game situation currently is, whether it's way out of kilter or it's close and it's coming down to a nail biter. None of those things should factor into the way a game is officiated, because then you're letting the environment or what's going on currently in the game dictate the implementation of the rules, and you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
The rules have to be the rules.
It's going back to the thing with like contacts. Like people will say, well, if you get in that specific, then can people not go over here and go to this chiropractor? Can they not go to the gym?
Well, they're just talking about no weightlifting, conditioning, because that would improve physicality. So all of this stuff.
No, that's a good point. So what I'm saying is it brings up a lot of discussion on, is the weight room that someone can go into that everyone has access to? The answer is yes. All right. Do we all have a set of eyes and ears? Most of the time, yeah. I'm being serious. Most of the time, yes. Okay. That allows us to do certain things, to make adjustments in games, right? When I was a kid, we played against NCSD in middle school.
School of the Deaf.
Yes.
For those of you that's keeping score.
The rules that they played by, a lot of times the official would blow the whistle, and they could not hear, so they had a person that would hit a drum because they can feel vibration, right? So a lot of times the play in basketball would already be gone through, and they'd still be playing it out because they couldn't hear, but they could feel the person would hit the drum, and then things would stop. It's the same way in football. Obviously they had a certain cadence way that they did in timing, right? So there's adaptations that can occur, through the way they played, but they still played by the same rules.
In wrestling, it was a rolled up towel.
Rolled up towel, and did you tap them on the back?
You could, or you could throw it out on the mat at them so they could visually see it. Yep.
Well, my point
because I officiated wrestling.
Those things don't change the rule set of the game, right?
Right.
They're not going to change the outcome of the game because they're after effects, okay?
They're to make sure that it doesn't affect the outcome of the game.
Right.
Yeah, it's the other side.
My point in all this is why, and again, I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but one of the arguments is, why should certain players be allowed to enhance their performance based on, eyewear, whatever, but then it's not right for another player who has, maybe who recovers less quickly than others. All right, why is it inappropriate for them to get treatments to be able to recover at the same time as others?
I've always said.
Now, again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. What I'm saying is there are a lot of things that are picked and chosen, all right, to be picked on based off of narrative and based off of, I heard this and I'm just going to agree with that instead of really looking at all the intricacies that go on with things. I'm not saying contact should be illegal. What I'm saying is that's okay to improve vision, but not strength. I don't know where.
Well, you don't.
Then we get then you get into a moral argument. Well, you should never do those things because.
Make your own decision. Bring what you want. Do what you want to do.
I don't know. It's steroids obviously are not healthy. All right, but we know that. But there are, treatments that doctors can give now that do help you improve health and don't have, necessarily long-term effects on, not that anybody that's taking it really cares because they're in the moment.
I've had bad sinus infections that I've had to have a steroid for because of the healing power. But I wasn't playing then, so it's okay.
It's just things to think about, right?
Listen, I'm okay with allowing pretty much anything as long as it's accessible to everybody. Mm-hmm. You get to make your own decisions. You're big boys and girls.
Right. My thing is, if you're going to set rules in place, don't give exceptions.
Right. Well, if you're giving exceptions, there's no rules.
There's no sense for the rules.
Yeah.
People are punished often because, it's like kids moving around in school districts. Mm-hmm. My niece went to Bandy's because her brother was going there to do welding. So they would be in the same place.
Right.
She didn't drive.
Right.
Mom and Dad both went to work before 7:30. Okay, this is not the bus doesn't come into Maiden territory and take a kid to Bandy's. But yet she had to sit out a full year for playing volleyball, basketball, and softball.
Yep.
But yet somebody else come in and say, well, that coach over there, he's I don't feel like I'm getting a fair opportunity because of this, that. Well, that's fine. We'll sign this immediately. You go play wherever you want to. That's crazy.
Yeah. Got to be consistent with the rules.
Consistently inconsistent is what is. It's just crazy stuff.
I got to get out here a little bit early. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next week.